What's a good word, everyone? It's your boy DKB here. I just want to say thanks for all the support. The channel's been steadily growing, and the number you see below, you can drop a text, shoot a voicemail, any ideas, topics, collabs, etc. you guys want to see. I'll include them in future videos and live streams, and I'll catch you again. Be easy. What's the good word, Jets fans? It's your boy DKB here, and I gave you guys a rising star on the offensive side of the ball, so you know I was going to run it back for the defense. And this one is awesome because not only is it a position that many people were frustrated about going into the draft, going into free agent decisions, but even the undrafted free agent class didn't necessarily overwhelmingly excite anybody. There wasn't a huge underrated gem or anything like that to talk about, but there were players that had the capacity to fill or plug gaps of a missing piece of our run defense here. And Payton Page was one of the names that actually ended up intriguing the most as one of our higher rated undrafted free agent pickups, maybe a couple notches below someone like running back Donovan Edwards, for example. And he has been standing out early in training camp. My understanding is he's made a couple splash plays over the course of OTAs as well, but in training camp specifically, he's really started to get highlighted by guys like Robbie Sabo and Zach Rosenblatt. And one of the things that they specifically highlighted, was how often he's making plays and disrupting the backfield, right? He was blowing up Donovan Edwards on one play, and I believe that's what Robbie Sabo called out. But Zach Rosenblatt also touched on the multiple pressures he's been able to generate. And when you look at what Payton Page offers, he's one of the players that I did complete a breakdown for as part of the UDFA class. 6'4", 300-ish pounds, and I really appreciate a guy that can stay with the program and work his way into a significant role or a starting job, and that's what happened with Payton Page, right? We can't forget the number of guys that was ahead of him, the studs on that Clemson defensive line that kept him on the back burner, allowing him to develop his game, continue to build his body, and hopefully make good on being a former five-star recruit, which you could argue maybe didn't necessarily happen in the classic sense in that he was just a stud from the moment that he hit the field. But this is a guy who got to learn under a Brian Brisset and some of these other players that have come out in recent years, and he still offers all of the same athleticism that made him a highly touted recruit. So our focus is going to be on what can he offer the Jets, which is going to be a stout space eater with potential pass rush upside, and that's based on his athleticism. But even when he did get a chance to officially start his final year at Clemson, he did pretty well, earned solid grades in run defense, solid grades in pass, and ultimately was just a nuisance when it came to disrupting, collapsing the pocket, and just causing havoc in hell for running back. So it's impressive to see that he's been able to make some noise, right? Because when you think about the level of competition, he's probably going to be in that third string, fourth string category, right? He still has your Byron Cowards ahead of him, Jay Tufele, your Derek Nottie as all veteran guys that have some level of upside to them as well, or efficiency metrics that speak really well to their chance to be able to earn a starting role. Derek Nottie, Super Bowl, playoff experience, etc., etc. So there's a lot of other stuff that can be relied upon. And even when you look at the UDFA class, there's other names like Matormafoba, who also could be pretty exciting, but it seems like he's had a less quiet training camp in OTA so far up to this point. And you can make the argument that Payton Page probably is and should be farther along in his development than him. But there's a guy that can maybe sneak onto this roster and find a way to get a couple of snaps here and there, but learn from some of the more some of the better role players throughout the NFL, or again, guys that in small sample size and smaller roles have been able to offer some big time production and ability within that sample size. And if you can get that from a UDFA, that's always a plus, right? You treat them like any other rookie you would, but they get even more rope, I guess, if you will, and when it comes to rookie development and some of the ebbs and flows that are going to come with that. So one thing to keep in mind, right? We're talking about standouts, just like with Brandon Smith. There's going to be some cause for concern, right? Who's he actually winning? Who's he beating out? Why is this so impressive? With Brandon Smith, it's more notable because I believe the defensive back unit is deeper and more talented than what you would argue out of the offensive line depth, right? And that's improving. There's definitely intriguing players there, but you're talking about him beating out players consistently like Leander Wigan, who's going to be our international player pathway program pickup, who replaces Abina Easy, who were released. And much like I thought, he's going to play more of a role at guard than tackle, right? But he did offer a ton of strength. He did offer a lot of athleticism, but he's still learning the game. There's still stuff he's adjusting and having to figure out. But he's also beating a former, and I want to say it was UFL player that I really, really liked in Cole Lavao. Obviously, still some stuff that he needs to adjust to and how he's still developing to the NFL game as well. But I don't want to say any of these guys are slouches, but these aren't household names or anything either. But this is what you love to see as well. This is a player that clearly is showing he's better than the competition that's on the other side of the ball from him. And this forces the coaching staff to then say, okay, let's get another look. Let's start putting him, not necessarily in the starting unit, but let's start matching him up with, our second string unit and seeing how he's playing against guys like a Josh Myers, for example, right? Or whoever else. I can't remind myself who's our backup guard. Longtime guy, and I know we just kind of brought him back, but nonetheless, this is a guy that is showing he deserves more opportunity, and it might not come into that first preseason game. Maybe they move him up right before, or maybe he, of course, gets an extended look since you're not going to be looking to play starters early. But keep this name in mind because it doesn't seem like he plans on disappearing at any point soon. And the fact that he's able to impact both the pass and the run game so far is a great sign for himself. I definitely hope he keeps it up. But I think his calling card is going to be in the run department, which is where we need the most help just based on recent performance. So let me know what you guys think. I'm definitely liking this guy quite a bit, and I remember being fairly high on him after the breakdown. But if you guys have any details to add, as always, drop them in the comments, and I'll catch you guys again. Peace.